Greetings. I'm your host, Ilene Carol, and you are listening to Unseen to Unstoppable, where we share inspiring journeys from trial to triumph. Today's guest is Lyanne Kilbane. After surviving a brain aneurysm and starting a new chapter as a single mom, she rose from rock bottom with raw, honest insights to help others rewrite their own stories. Her upcoming self-help memoir and no-fluff speaking style are designed to turn pain into power and guide people toward living with gratitude, confidence, and a renewed sense of purpose. Lyanne, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on.
And I failed to mention that it's AKA MumMantra. That's going to be your brand that they're building, correct? MumMantra.
Exactly that.
Okay, perfect. But I'm going to call you Lyanne, and I was just talking in the lobby. I wish I could say it like how you say it. But I'm going to say it the old American Southern way.
I think it's quite similar. I say Lyanne Kilbane, and you just kind of say it with more passion. I like it.
Oh goodness. Now, we do this interview. We have questions that we we want to bring out to help people learn more about what you do in your journey. But there was one thing, if I could find it, because I don't see it in your what I just read, but it was in your full bio. Here it is right here. No, it isn't here. It says that you're a former hotel manager.
Yes. Yeah.
Then we have something in common. So how long were you in the hospitality industry?
Interesting. So 6 years nearly. Technically, I'm sort of very only just coming out of that now. It just doesn't align with me now.
I see.
But 6 years before that, I started as a part-time receptionist and worked my way up to hotel duty manager.
And can we say the brand or are we not allowed?
I'm not sure, so I won't, but
Okay.
it's
Okay.
a family-run boutique hotel, so
I
it's
see.
not a chain hotel.
I see. So it wouldn't be like your Marriott's, Hilton's, or something like that. It's something.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we're going to get back to that. So now let's go back to in your description of your bio, you describe yourself as an epiphany creator. What was the most powerful epiphany that changed the course of your healing journey?
So for me, really, it's the realization that everything is impermanent. Everything's impermanent. So that is extremely helpful when you are going through something really awful and really difficult in the way of, maybe I can't walk right now, but I'll be able to soon. I can't make myself dinner right now, but I might be able to tomorrow. I'm in the worst pain of my life right now, but in an hour, I'm due to be able to take more pain relief. The realization of all of those things works on that side to help you when you're in your worst moment to know that it won't be forever. But it also really helps you to be extremely grateful throughout just the mundane moments of life. It gives you the hope in the eye of the storm, and then the gratitude to be present and just enjoy all of those small moments and just romanticize your life. I literally was sat waiting for a car wash a week ago, and I'm now that type of person that is just looking around, just looking for beautiful things. There were two birds on top. I don't know if they were doves or whatnot, but they were just sort of like snuggled into each other. And I found myself sat there watching the birds, just thinking how lovely it is and that I'm just part of a massive world and, that kind of thing. I was too busy and focused on small things that stressed me out a year or two ago. Now I'm the person that might look a little bit deranged, but it's because I'm standing there and I'm grateful for the birds, I'm grateful for the sun, and just being awake and alive in the morning.
Isn't it wonderful how creation can do that for us? If we just stand still and soak all that in.
Exactly that. And life really is about the small moments. And I will mention it. You may hear some strange noises. So that was my dog that just sneezed in the background. Oh, and again.
Tell the truth. Tell what the real strange noise really is. You just want us to think it's a dog. What is it really, Lyanne?
I promise you, he's an ex-police dog and he loves to be cuddled. And I think
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute now. Press pause now. When you say police dog, is he a German Shepherd?
he's not actually, no, he's a Spaniel Cross Labrador.
He's not a German Shepherd. When you say police dog, oh my
That's
God,
what you think.
I was getting excited. I love German Shepherds. Okay, now what kind of dog is he? What's his name?
So he's called Dash.
Dash. Hi, Dash.
Dash.
Can you hear me? I know you haven't.
He can't. He can't. But he's a very he's a very good boy. But he is also used to just having me cuddling him around this time of night. So he wants that to continue. So I'm just going to try and keep one arm on the dog, and then the rest of my focus on the podcast.
Yes, I love it. Okay. We've got to talk about this before we get too in depth in anything else, because I feel like your first comment sort of was talking about that. You're dealing with pain and things like that. Was it in relation to surviving a brain aneurysm?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely. There's been lots of difficult situations in my life, but the surgery that I went through, and even just the emotional pain when you're originally diagnosed and your life changes afterwards, are pains that you don't think you will be able to deal with at the time. But luckily, I'd already started to get the tools together through therapy and books that I'd read and my life learning to be able to cope with those pains that were going on and were really out of my control at the time.
So what led up to that? I mean, were you having some complications? Is that something you want to share? Like what happened? How you found out that that I mean, or does it or is I don't know, maybe I'm the idiot. Does it is it like an onset thing, or do you get some type of warning symptoms?
Yeah, so a lot of people unfortunately do not get warning symptoms until their aneurysm ruptures, leading to a brain hemorrhage. And a lot of the time, either then life-changing injuries, loss of speech, movement, the ability to eat, or just sudden death. I was very lucky in the way that mine was found due to me reversing into a footballer, a professional footballer.
Wow. Okay. Because it was affecting your speech?
So I had been having some pains and some funny eyesight movement, some dizziness every time I laid flat, and all of these symptoms then became a little bit more extreme after I had the car accident, to the point where I decided, it's time to go to the doctor and get this checked out. Years ago, after I had my daughter, I had a mini stroke, and 2 years ago, I also had a vertebral artery dissection. So, with my history, they sort of said to me, "Thanks for coming in to see me in your local doctor's surgery, but you need to go to the hospital." And then it all got a little bit real from there.
Wow. I mean, so we've got the brain aneurysm, and you said when you had your daughter, what happened again? You
Yeah, so I had a mini stroke.
ministry.
I think that really it's classed as a TIA, a mini stroke, because I ended up being able to resolve and overcome those symptoms in the long term. So the symptoms only lasted for a short amount of time, but it was about a week after I had her. I was in bed just after a night feed. I'd put her back down, and I had excruciating pain in the back of my head. At the same time, my heart rate went really funny, and I went to turn to my husband at the time and say, "I think I'm dying." But I actually found I couldn't speak, I couldn't move, and I was effectively paralyzed whilst in this extreme pain. And I just thought I was going to die, to be honest. Um, I don't know how long it was, but once I could, I managed to alert him that something was going on. And we got to the hospital, and luckily I was in for a few weeks, but everything did resolve. And they say it could have just been from the epidural that I had in birth.
Mhm.
It can be something that happens after. And I'm really lucky that that's as far as it went. But at the time, it was, very, very, very scary.
And so again, on top of all that, then you became a single mother, and so that must have, added some other, emotional layer, I guess, from a different point of view. How did motherhood shape the way you rebuilt your identity?
Exactly that. So, I mean, the relationship I was in was not nice, and I was in that relationship since I was 15 all the way up until I was 36. So it was very formative, but I really did lose myself in that. And once you then have a serious health condition, it really puts your life into perspective. And the situation that I had with my vertebral artery in 2023 helped me realize this isn't the life I want to lead after. And then obviously with the aneurysm as well, I wanted to make sure that once you realize a person that is in your life is not able to support you in a time such as that, you need to develop the strength to have your own back and get through things alone. Make sure you only accept help from the right kind of people. And it felt like it was my duty to show the children that you didn't have to stay in places that aren't meant for you and with people that you shouldn't be with just because it seemed good to the rest of the world and it was the done thing. You can make a decision that is healthier for everyone and change your ways. And I wanted them to not make decisions like some of the people around them had and to learn how to live a life with a stable mind and taking care of your emotional health and not using things such as alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, and whatnot to mask that. Um, so I had to be the example for it really, and I had to step away from things that weren't serving everyone. Show them that there are options, and if you can do it on your own, then when you eventually, and if you eventually do choose to settle down with someone else in the future, you'll know that you can still rely on yourself always.
Recently learned, well, when I say recent, I mean within, however long I've been alive, I guess within that, how we're learning things. It's something that you said about the emotions. I think the way I grew up, it was like when you're this age, you do this, and that means this. And maybe a lot of people experience that, but it wasn't until maybe a few years ago that I realized that a person can be one age physically, but another age emotionally. And maybe that's something that you experienced that you had to come to realization because people will, then because they don't know how they've never developed emotional maturity, and then they latch on to some sort of crutch, like you said, alcohol, drugs, what have you. And then, like, they put those emotions on you, it becomes your problem.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, we all have to take responsibility for ourselves, and you have to learn when you cannot help anyone. And I really tried to help the person that I was in a relationship with, and they were not ready to accept it. And that was a big realization for me that I was losing and had lost myself by constantly pouring out and trying to make allowances for their demons. And actually, if I just poured that energy back into myself, I could be even better and even more stable for my children because someone needs to be. That was my biggest responsibility.
So, and how many children do you have?
I have two, a boy and a girl.
They're teenagers?
They are, yeah.
Nice, nice. I have grown children and some grandchildren.
Oh, amazing. I'm excited for that. Not yet, though.
No, I know. When the time is right, we're not, we're not rushing
Oh,
them. Uh, but I was going to say something, lost my train of thought. But yeah, it just, uh, yes, that's what I was going to say. It's unfortunate that whatever's going on, we want to make sure that they're not picking up on those bad habits, or that's not what I want to call it. Give it another word. I won't say bad because we all have habits.
it's bad choices.
Bad choices. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because I don't want to say that because we all have things we do. Um, yeah, it's the bad choices that they can make better choices. Yes, that's it. That they can make better choices.
And, full disclosure, I never really was someone that had a drink. I've never taken a drug in my life, but I did used to smoke cigarettes.
Hmm.
And it was a big wake up call for me when I realized that even that was something that I was doing to effectively have a pull on a cigarette and swallow down my feelings rather than deal with the life that I was living.
Mhm.
And when I took that away as well, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything like that. And it's so powerful when you realize that it's all just, they're all just different versions of a band-aid of onto a symptom and an issue that actually is much deeper and needs to be sorted out at the root of the problem.
Mhm. Mhm. And so,
Hopefully, I can do that with them.
well, we can only hope, and a bit of advice to you and anyone else who's got children still at home, or maybe they're not at home, but they're still impressionable or whatever. But we can only do what we can do. I mean, I just told the last person on the podcast that I'm not trying to make justifications, but parents only have the tools that they have to work with at the time.
100%.
And that's just the truth of it. And and some of those tools are rusty in their toolbox, or whatever, whatever words you want to put on to it, And we, the ones that are aware, we try to do the best we can, but you can't get into that energy of beating yourself up because at the end of the day, I mean, you lead by example and it's up to the child to make better choices. And see, the thing about it is when they have a not so good example and a good example, and then the child starts acting like the not so good example. I mean, whose fault is that? Because, they have a good example too. So it's a choice that was made, right? So,
And I do think we have to be careful not to fully base our identity on our children because they say by the age of 12, your child has spent 70% of the time they are going to spend with you in their lifetime,
hmm
which means everything you do after the age of 12, you have less time to potentially leave an impression on them that you think is beneficial. At the end of the day, they are going to be their own person, and you will need to be your person after being a full time mum when you become more of a part time mum because they're out doing their own thing. So you can't base everything in your life and your happiness on them and their achievements. They need to know that your love for them is unconditional. It doesn't have limits and it's not attached to whether you win or lose, whether you choose to be a farmer or a politician.
right,
As long as you go and do what feels right for you, that is what I'm trying to help guide you to do.
right,
What that is none of my business,
right,
you
right,
know?
right. Because once they become of a certain age and out of your house, what they do is their business.
Hopefully all good stuff, you know.
Well, that's what we hope, but we just like I said, we don't know. We don't know, and I see some parents beating themselves up because of it, but and I don't want to take away from it. It's sad, but what are you going to do? I mean, again, people make choices. We were created as free moral agents, and we make choices. Some good ones, some bad ones.
And we're only a small percent of their life. You know, they spend a lot of their day with the children they're at school with the friends that they're with, the people that they do hobbies with. We actually can't have the 100% of an effect on them because there's so many other factors that are included in that. It's not possible, is it?
It's not. It really isn't. It really isn't. So that's why I just wanted to share that maybe with you or the audience because, being a parent is a big deal. For people who really care about being a parent, some people out there probably shouldn't be a parent, shouldn't have kids.
Agree,
But for
100%.
for those of us that care, maybe we care too much. And like I said, the best advice I could pass on is lead by example. Even after they leave home, still with my kids, I mean, whether they're paying attention or not, you still just want to lead by example. That's the best thing you can do is to be an example in a tangible, physical way.
And my therapist said to me once, I said to him, I, I've done this and I'm rich with that. I hope that what I've said or what I've done isn't leaving them with an impression that means they're going to talk about something that I've done in their future, in their therapy sessions. I don't want to be the reason they need therapy. And he was very honest with me and he said, look, let's be honest. I think you'll agree with me, Lyanne. Every person probably needs therapy throughout their life or at least at phases of their life. And your name will come up in it. How can it not? But the
Mhm.
fact that you're very aware of your potential effect on their life and their life outcome means you probably won't actually have a detrimental effect on it like you are thinking you may,
Mhm.
because you're aware, you're doing the work
Yeah.
ahead of time for them, you know?
Yeah, see? That means I could get a therapist, degree since I just said the same
There you
thing.
go. That's another branch to your already successful career.
Oh my goodness. So look, let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about because one of the things, like with Women's Quarterly and with the podcast, we always want to talk about women in business and what they're doing to help build their brands because that's important. So let's switch gears and talk about that. Let's talk about your Mum Mantra brand. Tell me about that, or tell the audience about it.
So I actually started blogging in 2020 when the pandemic occurred. I needed an outlet, and it's kind of like, what is my thing? And my thing is, at the time I was a mum and I was homeschooling. I was always someone that came out with one-liners and mantras about how to live life. So my mantra was born. I did a little bit of blogging then and then went back to work and left it there. But I'd always been someone that I would write a poem in a birthday card. I would write eulogies for family members that had passed away and poems to read at their funerals. And me and words, whether it was spoken or how I articulated it in an article or a poem, it just was how it worked, and it just worked for me and something that sat well with me. And even when I read books, it just hits differently with me. So fast forward to during my aneurysm recovery, I think it was around November, I started a Substack and started posting and blogging again. And I was doing this in my hospital room from my hospital bed, posting some blogs. And that has now developed into a book. So the blog is a little bit quieter at the moment because I'm writing this self-help memoir, which I hope to be done with very soon. This year looks like completing it, publishing it, going on a book tour, running events based on healthy ways to discover yourself and have self-worth and deal with trauma. Less sugarcoating and more radical but supportive, honest epiphanies and some coaching. And there is a big part of me that will be also trying to focus on the next generation and creating something that maybe could be part of a school curriculum instead of making it an optional choice for children to care for their emotional well-being and learn how to have a healthy mindset. Why not? Why isn't that part of our school curriculum?
My God, yeah.
Why are we doing fractions, but we're not talking about how to deal with someone dying or your parents getting divorced when these are all very real situations which will occur? And if we can find a way to talk about that, then maybe they won't all end up, taking
Like
drugs
they
and
are,
drinking
like they are,
alcohol.
like they are,
Exactly. Nip it in the bud.
and graduating from college and walking into a corporate office and acting like they're acting, having temper tantrums because somebody said something to them. I mentor college kids, and that's the thing. It's like they don't get it. I mean, I don't. And now that you said that, that's probably why because we're not teaching them. Well, we said that in the beginning about the lack of emotional growth and maturity, and so that's an epiphany for me. You just gave me an epiphany, right? Because we're not teaching it. And that's and so now when they get to the point where they're out of college at 24 years old and getting a job and they're getting on people's nerves, getting fired, whatever the case may be, but that's why, because, you know, they
At the
don't.
root of it. I
Right.
think I saw that in the events business, the events part when I was the events manager before I became the hotel manager. I would meet these, supposedly very high up, professionally accomplished people in the daytime, and I'd do the sales meeting with them, and I'd think, wow, he's amazing. He turned up in that car. He's such a cool guy. Look what he's done. Fast forward 6 hours later, he was also the guy doing things that he shouldn't have been doing, talking to everyone in a really rude way because he was drunk or had taken drugs, and a shell of the man that he was hours earlier. He'd based his whole life on achieving all of these things to look like he was happy and accomplished to everyone else. But in fact, he couldn't actually uphold that persona unless he was drunk, and taking drugs. I didn't want to be a part of that. I want those people at the event that are doing it sober and they're
Hmm.
achieving those things in a healthy way. I don't want my son to go into a business and see that this is your boss and
Hmm.
that's what you're aspiring to. You've just let down all of your employees in that room.
Exactly. But that's what we have to deal with. It's unfortunate. So when you said that again, that's my epiphany in this conversation because we should be teaching that as a curriculum in the schools. Good for you. I hope keep me posted on that. I hope something becomes of that. I don't know. But we do need that.
A long but rewarding road if I can find ways into this.
Right, right. Well, I try to do my part. Like I said, I mentor the college kids, and so if I can help one, I just feel like I'm doing my part. We can't save the world, so because I had that save the world mentality at one time, then I had to have a conversation with myself and say, hey, you can only save the ones that want to be saved.
Exactly. But when you do, there will be so many people that you are having such a profound effect on that you probably won't even realize. But one of those people, at least one of those people that you coach in years to come, will probably tell their child or their friend about how they had this one mentor that believed in them, that said or did something that changed the trajectory of their life. And you are going to be that person for someone if you haven't already.
That's beautiful, Leanne. Thank you for that. I want to hold on to that. You should see me if I had the video on. You should see me. I grab my heart.
I love that.
Because that means the world to me. Oh my goodness, that means the world. I want to go back to your blogging. What are some things, you don't have to go back to the beginning, but what are some things that you blog about? Because that was such a big deal, blogging. It became like this fashionable term or thing to do. So I'm just curious as to what types of things you blog about.
I'll be honest with you, it's probably not what people will think from our conversation so far in some ways, because there might one day be a blog and it will be really deep, provoking, and profound. But the next day, it might be really funny and the silliest analogy that you've ever heard of, but somehow it just works.
Mm-hmm.
It really is just whatever I feel like needs to be said or has an offering, because actually I realized I didn't need to go into one niche area. It didn't have to just be about being a mum or just being about working in a hotel. I also teach dance part time. It didn't need to just be about that. My niche is actually just me. I am the niche. You are your niche.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
my perspective on everything is valid because I've lived a completely different life to everyone else. So actually, the offering lies in the fact that I can articulate that and I can attach it to any subject. So
Mm-hmm.
it really does differ. I try not to be led by what everyone else is doing at the time. It doesn't just because it's Christmas, I might not write a blog about Christmas, you know? It really just is whatever flows. I think
Mm-hmm.
if you're creative, you cannot force anything that doesn't feel like it's innately you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very varied, and I would say
Your
that
blog is no, but that's it. Your blog, you it's a journal, but I want to put another word in front of it. I've been for lost words all day. Like it's online. It's because usually a journal is private. It's you write in the book, it's kept somewhere, whatever. But your journal is visible. It's online. It's like your online journal.
it's like a little sort of window into the world of me and
Mm-hmm.
how I view things and what I've learned that might help you, or what has maybe just been really funny that might give you a laugh because everyone needs a laugh today, you know?
We do. Everybody is. So I had this doctor who, you know how you go through your animals and all this kind of stuff as women, and so one day, they were all running around and everything, and she was all, phew, because she also, delivers babies too. But yeah, something I said to her about people and their attitudes or whatever, and she's like, my staff was just talking about that, how people today seem just to be in constant road rage. And I thought, oh my God, yes, because everybody's just all,
Everyone is squeezed. Everyone is squeezed to they're trying to be so many things. That it only takes that little overtaking scenario and they lose it.
They do. And I don't want to make light anybody's feelings, but if I could say, it seems like it's over the most minutest things. You know,
Exactly.
they're just
It's just an over kettle that's overboiling. You know, it's 9 a.m., but they've already pulled their hair out, either being a mother or a father, and they've been to the gym. They've tried to eat their greens. They made sure they did their 5K, and now it's 9 o'clock and they're starving and they want to go back to bed. They don't want to deal with your antics on the road.
oh my goodness. Okay, look, I can't dance, and I want to go back to that. Did you say you teach dance?
Yes, yeah. So to children, yeah, it's part time.
Did
And
you
my
say
daughter
to
comes with
children?
me. Yeah.
So no adults. No adults.
Well, I have taught to adults as well, but they kind of tend to go off to college, and then it ends up just being the younger ones at the moment.
So what kind of dance?
So it's a bit of everything. So
She said, "Let me think."
ballet,
I can't let me think. Okay, go ahead. Let you think.
so it's ballet, commercial, contemporary, some acro, which is like a mix of dance and gymnastics,
Some jazz.
jazz, and there used to be a little bit of singing and drama, although I will not say that is my strong point because it most certainly is not, only in the shower. Dance is more my thing, yeah, for sure.
Okay, because I remember the jazz hands. Like again, no video, but I'm doing my jazz hands.
I love that. I love that.
So you teach ballet, and what was the other one? It was another one you said after ballet. It was something.
So ballet, street dance,
Oh, you
contemporary,
do street. Now, when
commercial.
you say street, what is that? Tell me is that? That's not like break dance. I don't know. I hate to be ignorant, but what is that? What
Yeah,
is?
so not that far into it. So that's more of like a hip hop base. The street is a bit more commercial, like if you're watching maybe, I don't know if I'm allowed to drop names, Beyonce and her backing dancers, or
Drop
you
names?
know,
Yes.
the music video. I did actually dance in a music video for a finalist from Britain's Got Talent as well, funny enough. Um, which was a great opportunity that I had. A little bit of everything. And it's just another way to be a part of the next generation and help
Hmm.
them build their confidence, because you end up coaching them through what goes on in their personal life during their dance class. Because often, if they run off at the side when you're in the middle of a rehearsal, it's actually because they had a situation with their boyfriend at school and it's nothing to do with your dance, but you still need to manage that because they're in your company and your responsibility. You do end up being able to have, you know, luckily and, gratefully, the opportunity to influence them in a good way. And then when you see them grow and overcome something, it's just like having an extended family, and having 100 children rather than just the two. Luckily, I don't have to feed them all and house them because that would be a nightmare. But I get to go, I get to do my thing, we have fun, I coach them, and then I get to come home and watch them grow and have my babies here.
I'm gonna have to. I'm sitting here being facetious. I'm gonna find a way to sweet talk you into helping me learn some dance moves because I recently just got called the white girl in the family, and I was like, why do people think because you're black you're supposed to know how to dance? I'm sorry, I can't.
I always get told I should have been the black girl because of the way that I
Well,
dance.
okay. So let's
So
let
we've got some exchanging to
let
go on
let's
here.
let's. I know. So look, I got something going here. My wheels are going. Let's partner up here, and I don't know what do you call it when you negotiate the bartering. I don't know what the barter is going to be here, but I'm going to have to get you to do this. So next time I'm with my family, whatever, I can break out some moves and they can stop calling me names.
We'll figure something.
Okay,
We
good.
can always. I'll send you the link to the video that I'm in. It's called
Okay.
"Wiggle and Wine Your Body."
All right, all right. So now through our little talking here, I'm enjoying it. I'm writing some things down because I'm picking up on some things that I didn't know about. You say you do some coaching. What kind of coaching do you do?
The coaching at the moment has been very informal. It's been I have shared. I tend to share on my new TikTok and more and more on my Instagram my epiphanies and my learnings of that day. People who maybe have been on my social media for years or are new to it then seem to end up in my DM and you know they open up to me, and I then end up in this informal coaching relationship with them, and they tell me that I have given them an epiphany that they didn't realize, or I have helped them to do something they hadn't been able to do. So I'm now building on that and doing it, taking that forward to be able to do it in a more sort of formal setting and as a job role. But I really want to make sure that coaching and any events, group events around coaching and whatnot, are really based on thoughts, feelings, conversations, and internal work rather than going too far down the route of let's have a yoga class while we're here, let's do this, let's do that. They're all great things and they're all great tools, but I really want to be making sure that discussions that I have or meetings that we have are stripped right back to only using the tools that we can use on our own with just our minds. Because if you're left in that situation, which I was many a times, that I couldn't even reach a drink for myself, you better believe that you need your mind. And if you've got your mind in any situation, in any dark room, you can control anything. It mostly is teaching people how you don't need all of the things that you think you need as long as you know how to control your mind.
Now, your book, did you say when it was coming out? I know you're working on it. I know we've talked about so many different things. Did we say when it's coming out?
I'm not that far ahead yet.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm on
that's
the
fine.
last, yeah, no, I'm on the last section. I'm on the last section and I hope to be able to get, a date and everything finalized soon, but it will be a little while, but I'm in that balance of being careful of what I put out online and what not at the moment. I want there
Right.
to be value for people,
Right. Good
but
for
I
you.
need to make sure I don't take too much from my book because the book will have a process that people need to go through. And if I
Right.
just give them bits without the whole context, it
Right.
won't be as powerful and profound for them.
Right.
So I'm just in that ground of doing as much as I can, but focusing on getting that done because I really feel like the research and development I've done so far, the people that have read it and tried the points in it, because there are some actionable guides in it as well, seemed to really benefit. And that is what it is about. I'm just trying to find a way to benefit other people through what I've gone through. And it will make you laugh. It will give you a snippet of what happened to me and why I think this works. Then it will tell you how to do it. And then it will give you a little bit of a break in between to have a breather because you've just done some hard stuff. And then you go again. And there'll be a few steps like that that you can keep coming back to. You can share it with friends, share it with loved ones. And I really think it will change people's lives for the better.
Well, keep me posted. I would love to get a copy of that and read it myself. What
Definitely.
advice would you give to someone who wants to share their story but fears being judged or misunderstood?
So someone once said to me, you do realize you're being judged constantly. You might as well be judged for the right reasons whilst doing what matters to you, which
Right.
is so true. And that goes hand in hand with what I've said a few times in here that your story is your offering and it's your offering to the world. One at all in the world who has or is living the exact same life as you. Therefore, your perspective and experience can teach someone so many things. You can raise awareness for a situation that's gone on. You might help someone out of a place that they didn't realize. You can have a massive change on the world and potentially instill a new policy or a rule or something in the school curriculum. But if you hold that back to yourself and worry too much about just overly seeking validation from everyone outside of you, you're never going to be able to help anyone
Hmm.
or do anything with anything you've been through. And imagine getting to your last days and all of those opportunities you didn't take, they're haunting you because you realize I actually went through so much and I learned so much and I could have helped someone else to learn what I did sooner, but I didn't in case they judge me. I don't want to be that person.
Right. That's amazing. And so finally, what's your favorite quote, the one that keeps you going, that brings you back to center?
There will be a reason. The universe works for me, not against me. So if it gets cancelled, if you burnt your toast and you were late for work, if you break your leg, if you have a brain aneurysm, sometimes what you wish for and what you want, you're not going to get it the way that you want it to happen. It's not going to land on your doorstep wrapped in gold-plated cellophane. You might have to go through some rough stuff before you get it. So now, when the bad stuff starts to happen, I really genuinely, as soon as I can, go, this, that has just been cleared out the way to make space for something new for me. I'm really excited to see what that is. I wonder. And then if you start looking back, you can connect the dots and you can think, well, I'm so glad that, I reversed into that car. Otherwise, I wouldn't have found out about the brain aneurysm. I'm so glad that I was with that person, even if it wasn't the best relationship, because I had two amazing children out of it. If you can always keep in mind that the universe is working for you, not against you, you just have to be open to what's next and keeping hope and faith in a positive outcome. It will make the darkest days so much lighter and manageable.
And it's all about your mindset, isn't it?
It's all perspective.
Right. It's all about your mindset. So tell our guests today where they can connect with you.
Yeah, so I am literally MumMantra, MumMantra on Instagram and TikTok. I have the Substack, which is mummantra .substack.com. And I've got an email as well, mummantra@yahoo.com, which I'm happy to talk to people in there. And then hopefully in lots of bookstores and speaking to people in schools and on stages in the future.
Yay! Future goals, future goals. Lyanne, thank you so much for coming on and being our guest today and sharing your journey.
Thank you. It's been amazing, and I really respect what you're trying to do and giving women and people the chance to be in the spotlight and potentially help someone else with their words.
I appreciate you. Thank you for everyone for listening to this wonderful episode with Lyanne. And please like, share, and follow the podcast. And once again, I'm Ilene Carol, and you've been listening to Unseen to Unstoppable.